Hello everybody, welcome back to another video, as today we got another episode of reviewing NHL teams offseason so far. As today we got the Dallas Stars ahead of us, as we're going to be taking a look at their kind of quiet offseason, as they lost John Klingberg, but they were able to get a big goal scoring winger in Mason Marchment, which I gotta say is a really good signing for the Stars. They also got Colin Miller, and they're still waiting on Jason Robertson and Jake Oninger on what their final decisions will be and what their contracts will look like here in the coming future. So those are two big players that they're still trying to hammer out a contract for. So unfortunately, we won't be able to talk about that in today's episode. But before we get into all this, I like to just say, if you are new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that like button as well. So let's get into talking about the Dallas Stars offseason. And like I was saying, we're still waiting on what will happen with Jason Robertson and Jake Oninger. I mean, these are two big free agents that you definitely want to lock up for the future. And honestly, I would want to get Jake Oninger set up on a 8-year deal where you don't have to worry about the guy. Now, the problem is, with doing something like that, is you're going to have to pay him like the big bucks. You're going to have to pay him like a Huskinainen type of contract, which you really don't have the money for. Like, the only type of money that you have for that is to do bridge deals for both Robertson and Jake Oninger, which is a big risk that you might be taking, because both of these guys are already producing at major totals. Jake Oninger just had a playoff performance of a lifetime, even though he only played 7 games. I mean, the guy was absolutely insane against the Calgary Flames, a .954 save percentage, 1.81 goals against average. I mean, the guy was absolutely insane throughout that entire playoff run. And during his second year, he's already looking like a very, very good starting goaltender for the Dallas Stars. So you definitely want to get that guy locked up, and you want to do the exact same with Robertson. It's just where the cap is going to come from when you have atrocious contracts on both Seguin and Jamie Benn, which definitely do hindrance the team a little bit. So let's get to the very first topic, though, which, you guys already know, is the draft. And I honestly didn't mind the Dallas Stars draft. I thought they did pretty good. They got Lion Bichel, who is a massive boy. 6'6", 225 pounds, can lay the body on ya, can play pretty well offensively, and plays very, very strong defensively as well. This is a guy that could be just an all-around great defenseman for a team, and especially for the Dallas Stars, they need this good of an all-around defenseman. And honestly, he's going to be that type of guy that's going to be playing in the top 4, maybe even that in that 2-3 type of area. But Lion Bichel is a really good selection at the 18th overall, and I really love it. I thought it was really good, especially when you look at what else was there. There wasn't a whole lot like that was appetizing for, defensemen. You had, Owen Pickering, which was good, but he's more of an offensive defenseman. Sam Rinsel, but, you're heading up a little bit more up there. So getting that pick at Lion Bichel at that, that 18th overall, I thought was a very, very good selection here for the Dallas Stars, and I really enjoyed their pick with that one. Christian Kyrou and Jor Fargaris, two right-handed defensemen that played, one in the OJHL and one in the OHL. Kyrou produced great numbers with the area otters and looked really good. So should be another 2 good defensemen. But the problem is with Kyrou, he's a little bit smaller on the smaller side. But if he beefs up a little bit and continues this great offensive game that he has, could be a future, great offensive defenseman here for the Dallas Stars. So very exciting, draft. They did pretty good. Definitely not what they did last year. I mean, the Logan Stankoven and the Wyatt Johnston pickups were absolutely amazing for the Dallas Stars, and were really good draft picks. So, and once again, another great draft as well. Like Lion Bichel, I think, is definitely the highlight of the draft here for the Dallas Stars. So moving forward, they only did one trade where they picked up Ben Bishop. Them mistaken off is at the deadline, but they did get Ben Bishop, or they traded away Ben Bishop and a 7th-round pick for future considerations for the Buffalo Sabres. Nothing really to talk about there. Mostly an LTIR move. I don't know why they traded him, because you could save money on the LTIR if you throw him on there, but they just dumped him off. I think they know that they're already going to have Hudobin on the LTIR, so, you just get rid of another player to make up some more space. So moving on to the signings now here for the Dallas Stars, as we'll dissect every move that they did do. Joe Pavelski, they got him to a deal. I think this was near deadline time anyways, but this was an extension at the time, 1 year, 5.5. Really liked the move. I thought it was a good signing for Joe Pavelski, and honestly deserves even probably more than that, like $7-8 million for this guy. Produces point per game totals, plays an amazing defensive game. And as a player, I really like in Joe Pavelski. He's just that type of two-way guy that you really need for a team that can play just about anywhere in the lineup. Center, wing, first, second, third line, wherever you need him to play, he will definitely play. And then Denis Gurianov, not a bad signing for Gurianov, but you really need Gurianov going, and I hope that maybe Pete DeBoer will be able to spark something underneath of Guryanov's game. The guy has been already, always very inconsistent over his career. 2019-20, he played really good in the playoffs, had 17 points in 27 games, was looking quite well that year. The next year, he just, produced all right, but then the year after that, this year, he just couldn't, get those finishing totals up, and his trajectory has been kind of going down. And for a guy like Denis Gurianov, who had, a good potential at the time he was drafted, has just been a very inconsistent player and hasn't been able to find that spark. So $2.9 million for 1 year is just kind of like, hey, man, you need to kind of produce on this contract, because if not, we're not going to, really want you. And that's the big thing, because, going into next year, they might not have money for Gurianov, right? If he doesn't pop off, then he might not have a roster spot, and he might have to go find some other team to play in as well. So this is a big year I think, for Gurianov on whether or not he's really going to be, making more money than what he is now. I'm even surprised he got 2.9. I think it's a little bit of an overpayment, especially since he has not been the exact guy they need him to be. So moving forward, though, they also got Scott Wedgwood on a 2-year, $1 million deal. I absolutely love this. They picked up Wedgwood at the deadline, and he played really good as their backup. He puts, some really good numbers up. And I'm excited to see what he'll do as the backup for Jake Onger. He's not going to be playing a whole lot of games, most likely 20, 25 games per season. And I think Wedgwood is going to play absolutely amazing in those types of games. So I think that's exactly what you need out of a good backup. Plus, he's super cheap as well at only $1 million. And then Colin Miller, kind of like a replacement for John Klingberg, 2 years at $1.85 million. A very, very good defensive defenseman. Has thrown up some good numbers before. And honestly, with Thomas Harley and you already have Hank and Pa there, you already have a good defense core. With Colin Miller being added into the core, you have a guy that can play on the right side, can play up in the top four, can play on the top six. So you're bringing in a guy that could, you could kind of move around the lineup wherever you kind of need him to be. So really smart pick up there with Colin Miller. And then the Mason Marchment move. This was kind of the big move out of the free agency. It was rumored that they were really looking for a player that could play alongside of the wing of Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin. Now, Mason Marchment is kind of a big risk that you're taking with this one. It's only $4.5 million over 4 years. But Mason Marchment had a really, really good season this year. His past year, where he only produced 33 points, or 33 games, he only produced 10 points. He had all right, analytical stats, but he wasn't amazing. This year, he really blew up. He was producing great offensively and defensively. So we're going to have to see how well he'll do this year. He only played about, on average 14 minutes per game. So the thing is, he's probably going to be given a little bit more ice time coming into this year as well. So that will be kind of a difference in his game as well. How well will he do with the more minutes? I think Mason Marchment is just going to be absolutely amazing for the Dallas Stars with, him producing almost a point per game with the amount of minutes he was given, which wasn't very much. Is pretty damn impressive, and that's exactly what you want to see out of a guy that is almost producing point per game, not playing a lot of minutes, but is able to finish a lot of his opportunities and able to play very well defensively as well, is exactly what you need. So this contract, honestly, in my opinion, will be an absolute steal for the Dallas Stars, and I really, really like the Mason Marchment move. I think he'll continue to be able to produce 60, 70 points a season, and I think he'll be a really, really good producer for the Dallas Stars. So, looking at their roster, there's still a lot of weaknesses, like their glaring depth. You got some good defensive guys, Glendening, Fasca, and Stanika, and, they got some all right players down there, but it's definitely not the most impressive depth ever in the world, so that's definitely something I thought they were going to improve upon, but with trying to re-sign back Robertson and Jake Onger, they could only really bring in 2 guys, and that was really Miller and Mason Marchment, and they did a really good job of, not signing guys to an outrageous big deal. I thought they did a really good job of that, sign them to little contracts, and I thought that was really smart here of the Dallas Stars to get them to these smaller contracts and not waste a whole crap ton of money, especially since you got Robertson and Jake Onger that you already got signed, and you're already basically pretty tight up against the cap when you're talking about the big contracts they have with both Ben and Seguin, and then also Heiskanen now as well. So I really like what the Dallas Stars did. They had an alright draft. Their signings that they did were pretty good. Honestly, I'll give this team, I'll give them about a B+. I'm still concerned of what they're going to do with Robertson and Oninger, but with what they did right now, it's between a B plus to an A minus, to be quite honest with you. Really love the A. Actually, you know what? I'm going to give them an A minus because I don't really see anything that they did wrong. They lost John Klingberg, who they weren't going to be able to bring back anyways just because he was too expensive. You brought in Colin Miller, who's pretty good defensively. Definitely not a perfect replacement for John Klingberg, but someone that can play really well defensively in the back end. And you were able to get Mason Marchment on a fantastic deal, and honestly, I think that will work out really well. Of course, now, the ratings can change with how Robertson and Jake Onger, what will they sign? That will be the big question, but we'll have to see what that will entail once they do get signed. But for now, guys, thank you very much for watching. Tell me, guys, in the comment section below what you guys thought of the Dallas Stars offseason, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Adios, amigos.